Hi all, we are today together with Charlie Cox, that is DareDevil in the TV series by Netflix. And we are here with Charlie today because he gave us the pleasure to interview him in order to understand what is the meaning to play DareDevil in a series. First of all, thank you for your availability.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So, you started to play DareDevil more or less 3 years ago. And how is for you today to be or to play DareDevil?
Yes, it's been a great privilege and an honor to be tasked with playing this iconic superhero. I'm a British actor. And I have lots of British friends who are actors who when we were 20 and 25, etc., were playing superheroes for Marvel or for DC. And I thought that I would never get that opportunity. And so I was very surprised when I turned 33 that this, or 32 even, that this job came along and that they were interested in me to play the character, and it's been such a tremendous experience. It's such a fun character to play, and also such an interesting character. As you know, as we were just speaking about, he's one of the few characters, superheroes, who suffers from a disability. And what that does in terms of the telling of this story is make his relationship to his powers, I think, very interesting and a very compelling form of storytelling.
Behind the power of his power, DareDevil needed to train himself and needed to learn about himself, about his senses and other things like that. What it could mean for you to train yourself with senses, with, for example, the relationship with the stick or the cane, as you can say. How do you feel with this world of blindness, of visual impaired, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, shamefully, I knew very little about blindness and very little about the visually impaired community prior to getting this job. When I was hired, I knew how important it was to get that right, and it's an element that is vital to the character of DareDevil, but also very important. To get it right, especially nowadays where there's so much information available and so much accessibility to the kind of tools that you would need in order to portray a blind man or a visually impaired man authentically. I hired a gentleman by the name of Joe Strecce, who's been legally blind for 20 years, approximately half his life. And we spent a lot of time together, and he coached me in many, many things, including how to use my cane appropriately, how to do household chores, how to make a cup of tea or make dinner or, get around a building. He uses his cane one way in the street, and he uses it differently at home. And he uses it again differently if he's inside, but he's in a space that he doesn't know very well. So all of those elements were fascinating to me and incredibly important. So I remain in close contact with him. We had a scene not so long ago in the show where Matthew Murdoch is playing pool, and a snooker pool. And I called Joe and I said, when you play pool, how do you play? And he explained to me how he does that and how he focuses, how he would, figure out where the ball was and all those kind of things. And, the truth is we just try to do all of it as authentically as possible. And I feel a responsibility for it to for it to be right and to be taken seriously and to be authentic. But I also feel like it's a great privilege to have that opportunity.
When I was a young boy, 16 years old, and I have also today Aniridia, so a degenerative disease, genetical degenerative disease that impact the eye and the sight. I wanted to be DareDevil because I saw DareDevil as the superhero that even if he was blind, he could do all things he wanted. Yeah. So for me was a real inspiration, a real symbol of inspiration. So, but DareDevil in the next series that you will play need to face the dark side and the right side, we can say, about the power. So this is a fact that impact also the people with a disability. So when they need to understand how to manage the anger. So how to manage the great anger that you have when you lose your vision, or your sight, or things like that. So, according to you, how much a hero can be bad or anger to be right, or what is the right path to follow?
Wow, that's a big question. What happens in life sometimes is that when things don't go according to one's plan, or how they imagined their life is not turning out how they imagined it would, one of the reactions to that is one of frustration and anger and fear. And when we are, and I think this is true of all human beings, you know, obviously people from all walks of life suffer from some form of tragedy or some form of disability or some adversity of some sort. And what makes us who we are is our ability to process that information and to heal from that pain. When we are feeling the anger and the frustration and the fear, sometimes we don't behave as well as we could or as well as we should in time. And that's what is happening with DareDevil. At the beginning of season 3, he's very confused. He feels betrayed by God. He feels very, very angry, much like he felt in season 1 as a boy when he first lost his sight. He feels so angry at the world, and we explore that a little bit in season 3 as well. As a young boy, we see his frustration and his anger. Hopefully, over time, we are able to, at least in some way, make sense or see the positives that arise from difficult situations and difficult times, and we're able to heal and begin to remember who we are fundamentally and what it is that is important in life, and what it is, and the things that are important to focus on, to see the value that we have with everything that we are. And I think Matt's journey in season 3, through the help of a nun, through the help of Sister Maggie, who is the nun that comes into his life, that was part of his life as a child, he's able to recognize that underneath the anger, underneath the frustration, underneath the fear, is someone who is not only wants to do the right thing and wants to go, as you put it, go into the light, but also someone who can offer a great deal and who is capable. And that is what kind of ultimately gives him that encouragement from her, is what gives him the strength to re-emerge as a superhero.
And so the last question, to help the people that are watching us, to encourage them to make them better and go through the light, if we can say. What could be your advice for them?
Again, it's tricky sometimes. It's tricky for me to give advice, and sometimes it can be. I'm resistant to giving advice to people if it's something that I don't have experience with, because I can't tell anyone what it is that they've experienced when it's not something that I have, and I can, the truth. If I'm completely honest with you, the truth is that were I to experience something like you have yourself, sir, I think I would find that very scary, and I'd find that very painful, and particularly the element that is unknown. When you describe when you were 16 and your degenerative disease started, not knowing the length of time it would take or what it would be like in the at the end is very frightening, because there's when there's a sense of unknowing about it. That is, I think, and I've had similar experiences with other things in my life, but that is what it makes it so frightening. My advice, which may sound trite, but I think is ultimately important, is to try to find the faith that with all things in life, at some point in the future, things make sense in a way that you never imagined they would. There's always, no matter what happens, no matter what adversity that you face, there will come a time where there will be some sort of, and it may not be perfect, but there will be some hope that will lead to the feeling of value and the feeling of enjoyment and fun in one's life again, no matter what the experience is. So it's not great advice, but my advice really is, and you are a better person to offer hope and advice, because you've had the experience. But my advice is to try to keep a positive attitude, to try to see the value in the experiences that you're having, and remember that one of the great things that a human being can offer in life is encouragement to others. And so if you're going through the experience of losing your eyesight, then remember that you will have the opportunity to help many, many people. So again, not great advice, but it's something.
I think that is the best advice that we can give to the people that are watching. So thank you so much, Charlie, for this.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel very honored to be interviewed by you, so I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.